yes, it's never nice to see a golden generation end this way, beaten and literally broken down. That's the fate of Spain. Yes, the era is finally over. 3 titles in 6 years, but finally La Furia Roja have been knocked out of the World Cup. To discuss that and much more in the beautiful game this lovely morning, I have Novi Kapadia and Karim Ben Sharif, two of the premier football voices in India, who will be talking to us about what befell Spain. But before that, let's take you through the other headlines right away. Yes, Chile playing a red-hot game to get the better of Spain and make it to the next round along with Holland. The Dutch stutter into the second round. Yes, you heard me right, stutter. Australia, the lowest ranked team in the World Cup, put up a heroic show before going down 2-3 to become the first team to exit this tournament. And Croatia keep their hopes alive in Group A with a 4-0 thrashing of Cameroon. Yes, that's right. It's been great till it has lasted. It ended in disaster for world and double European champion Spain. Now, the historic Maracana living up to its reputation as the graveyard of great hopes. Remember 1915 Brazil, as Spain were knocked out of the 2014 World Cup by a terrific Chile side. Now, after mauling at the hands of the Dutch, Del Bosque's team needed to produce their vintage form, but what appeared on the pitch was an embarrassing display of a once great team that got torn to shreds by a faster, more dynamic Chile. Now, the South Americans took the lead in the 20th minute itself as Vidal, Sanchez and Aranguez combined on the right to set up Eduardo Vargas, and the Valencia striker pranced around Casillas to strike in the first blow. And the game was literally over just before half-time as Chile doubled their lead. This time, fouled by Alonso, Sanchez swings in a free kick only for Casillas to make a very poor clearance. Aranguez pouncing on the opportunity to deftly send it in, even as 6 Spanish players stood around him watching him score, but frozen in time perhaps. Spain tried to turn it around in the second half, but the manner in which Busquets would then go on to mess up a great chance told the whole story. And it stayed like that as Chile raced away into the next round, handing Spain the inglorious milestone of becoming the first ever defending champions to be knocked out of a World Cup after just 2 games. Yes, what a disaster there for Spain. I can imagine the headlines in Marca, the biggest newspaper there in Spain. But let's take you through the story in numbers. 56 to 44% ball possession. Yet once again, it's possession without penetration. 15 shots, they had taken 9 on target, but somehow it was not their night, because let's not forget, the first shot which Spain took at the Chile goal came only in the 27th minute. That in itself explains the story of Spain's disaster. Novi Kapadia, the man for all seasons in football. You've witnessed many a footballing tragedy. This was coming perhaps, a lot would say. But what is perhaps ironic, Novi, is the images. Iker Casillas was the same man, the same goalkeeper who lifted the World Cup trophy 4 years ago. Last night, he was beaten not just once but twice, and it was more of his fault, his failing. And he saw possibly the 2 ends of the spectrum, victory, defeat, from being a conqueror to being conquered himself.
Well, they say those who don't learn the lessons of history are apt to repeat it. For Vicente Del Bosque, the writing was on the wall in June 2013 in the Confederations Cup, the way they were swept apart by a young, enthusiastic, determined Brazil. The way Barcelona in 2 successive Champions Leagues were decimated. But Vicente Del Bosque kept having faith. He didn't do a Sir Alex Ferguson, ruthless, change his squad. He had a year to not only tinker but drastically change that squad. It is sad. It's the end of an era. A page of history has turned forever. You know, the chapter has closed on several Spanish players and even the Barcelona model. A pity, you know, to add to what you said, it's not only the defending champions been beaten, they've gone out without scoring a goal. I mean, their match now with Australia is
the only goal they scored was a penalty. They didn't score a field goal.
Without a field goal. And in the sense that the match with Australia is practically irrelevant now.
Right.
And the only thing he can do is probably try the players he hasn't tried.
Right.
And it's, France got eliminated in 2002, Italy in 2010 as defending champion. The 21st century seems to be the graveyard for defending champions.
Right, Karim, obviously we'll talk more about the specifics of the match in detail, not only Chile but also Spain. But it's always sad to see a glorious team, a great generation bowing out like this. And this is the same team which gave us the greatest tactical formation, if one could say, after total football, which was given to us by the Dutch team led by Johan Cruyff. In a way, it totally crumbled, and in a way, this was possibly the end of this brand of football, which is absolutely decimated by Chile.
Well, take nothing out of this generation, of this Spain team. Though we are, everybody is disappointed, and we didn't like the way they played. Conceding 7 goals in 2 games is not something small. But I still feel that this generation will be remembered in the book of history as one of the greatest in the history of football. No doubt about that. Yeah. If we come back to this World Cup, where they got it wrong is they didn't have a plan B. Spain for years, they know to play only the tiki-taka, possession, slow build-up, with a certain type of game, certain type of players. And when they was like yesterday, it was apparent at the first half that they're stuck, and they could not get out of that situation because simply there was no plan B. Plan B, playing a bit defending deep and playing on a counter-attack, using maybe fast players like Villa coming in or somebody. Plan B could be putting both Torres and Gomez and playing a kind of a 4-4-2 and pumping long balls and delivering crosses and looking for the second ball. They simply was not prepared to any other possibility other than the 4-2-3 or 4-3-3 formation based on possession, based on slow build-up.
Yes, you have to save for the rainy day. That's the lesson which Spain perhaps forgot to learn. Karim, let's make you jog up a little bit to the telestrator here. What we need to understand here is that, tell me how, or rather show us our viewers, whenever Chile was pressing forward, there was acres of space inside the Spanish half. But whenever Spain was pressing forward, the space was being shut down or closed down. Please explain that. Simply,
Chile played a kind of a 4-3-3 formation with Vidal, Sanchez. And Chile did something slightly different than Holland. The way Holland beat Spain is holding a little bit around this area and playing on a quick counter. They didn't press the 2 center back. Chile did the opposite. They gone at the center backs, and even when of course the side backs are here, even when Busquets come look for the ball, there was player on him, and what was important is there was no gaps. These gaps they was never created. Why? Because the whole team press. When the ball is around, let's say with the centre back, there is pressure on both centre back. There is pressure on the midfield, but the whole block move up, and which make it a bit this way. That's why your question is relevant, because you talk about the space. They was always on a block. The Chile team, close to each other, close lines, and this block, this whole team is moving. When they are defending deep, the whole team is here. But when they are defending high and putting pressure, which they did a lot yesterday, especially on the first half, they are at the nose of the Spanish team. So there was hardly any spaces between the players. Unlike what you said about Spain, is Spain even when the Chile build at the back, there was. Yes, a little pressure from the maybe 4 or 5 players.
But again, only one striker.
It's not as a team. That's why we had seen these big spaces. Whenever they manage to get out of this pressure, the Chile, there is always players who are free in those kind of positions to start the counter.
Do you think it could have been a little bit different? Yes, taking away nothing from Chile, but it could have been a little different had Del Bosque gone with 2 strikers and not just one, because one person cannot really open this game up, as it was evident.
Plan B. plan B, but the plan B was not there. They never played with two strikers. Yes, they could have gone, as I said, maybe Torres and Gomez, two target man, big, and Pedro on the flank, and maybe Iniesta on the other flanks, and getting the midfield closer, and even playing a little bit kind of a direct game, because there is urgency, long ball, and fighting for the air ball, and then getting second ball always by the midfield, or delivering crosses from here, which will be met by these players. Plan B. But the plan B was not existing, because Spain never worked on any other plan other than the way they play.
That's right in a sense, but no way also the counter argument could be that even if they had a plan B, it might not have worked. The way we saw Fernando Torres, yes, he cost Chelsea a lot of money, but there's absolutely no way he will find his place in any international team, forget about Spain. The way Diego Costa, well, he was, he looked a misfit in the team. With, full respect to his abilities, he did not seem to have gelled well, but the fact of the matter is, basic footballing skills and abilities, Spain were missing that. We saw it from the Busquets miss. We saw it from the way Casillas, instead of punching it out over the line or somewhere, across, he puts it right in the feet of the striker who's lurking there.
See, the spine of the team was weak. Casillas totally out of form, a pale shadow of himself. Diego Costa probably still not recovered from an injury. And Fernando Torres has been playing from memory for very long. And unfortunately, I mean, for Vicente del Bosque, he'll be remembered in history to give an Indian parallel. He was both Akbar and Bahadur Shah Zafar. He's taken it to the end of an era. It was a glorious era. I supplement what Karim said, that yes, in history they'll be remembered as one of the great teams. And not just the teams which haven't won, the teams which have won. So they can be ranked with the great Brazilian teams. Because this reign was absolutely superb. But poor Luis Aragonés, who started this reign, he'd be turning in his grave. The man sadly died earlier this year. Because it was a dismal end, and that can be seen as a failing of the coach. Vicente del Bosque should have changed this team long ago, and there was lots of evidence, and even the players he had, like Koke and all, were not fully trusted. He still thought the older legs would somehow find something. Football is not romance, it's not a Bollywood movie. Things don't work out that way.
Right, Novi, if I could, ask you a little bit more on this one also, that, yes, we spoke about, mentioned the Maracana, the ghosts of Maracana, 1950. From Barbosa to Casillas, there seems to be some sort of connect. There is an irony there. Iker Casillas is one of the three central figures on whom Spain's success is built, other than the coaches, Casillas, Xavi and Iniesta. But look at Casillas, the way he flopped, fumbled, he looked a pale shadow of himself. This, in a way, signifies that all was not well within the team, in the sense that they were well beyond their sell-by date.
Yes, for Casillas, yes, Maracana, graveyard for goalkeepers, but at least Casillas has lifted a World Cup. I saw him in South Africa saving a penalty against Paraguay, which took them to the semi-finals. So he's got a glorious past. Poor Barbosa, I mean, really didn't have anything, but yeah, Maracana has lived up to its reputation of the graveyard of great goalkeepers. But Casillas itself is a story where Vicente del Bosque should have very obviously realized that in his fourth World Cup, it's time to have change.
It's time to have change.
He was unfortunate with David De Gea, who was probably the replacement getting injured. As they say, it never rains but pours.
De Gea is supposed to have a hip injury, maybe Pepe Reina. Why not bring him in?
Why not Pepe Reina?
Why not bring him in? On the other hand, Karim, yes, there are a lot of signs which the Spanish media have been talking about. The fact that this was a team well beyond its prime, well past its prime. But the positive which comes out from this night is the fact, yes, we saw the end of a golden generation, but we also saw something fantastic. Another Red Army, La Roja, Chile, an exciting new dynamic brand of football that cannot be generalized by any particular formation. They play very fast on the counter, pack their defenses, and they're never afraid to go forward. This is absolutely brilliant football also on the other hand.
Before the start of the World Cup, in the earlier shows, we discussed, when we was discussing prediction, we definitely put Spain as one of the favorites. But also we put Chile as
should I play wicked and say I never heard Karim say that point of time? Should I be wicked?
No, we did discuss that. That the Chile is also a dark horse, in fact, with Belgium. And I'm not surprised by the performance of the Chilean team.
Right.
They have, you could see from yesterday's game, especially the way they started, the way they played the first half, they have a lot of unity among them. You could also sense it from the way they sang the national anthem with their supporters. It was so moving, it was so passionate that this is a team that is up to it. And another point that I want to mention about the Chile team is the way the fitness level they have. You know, they're playing 90 minutes, high pressure, sprinting for every ball. As a team, it's not easy things to achieve. And that's credit should go to their coach, who is doing a great job. In my opinion, it's a very difficult team to play against.
Right. Also, on the other hand, we are always interested and involved in club football throughout the year. World Cups come only once in 4 years. The line of players in Spain, from Barcelona to Atletico Madrid to Real Madrid, we have players from all the big ticket clubs. But look at the back three of Chile. They have Gonzalo Jara, he's the former Nottingham Forest player, Gary Medel with Cardiff City, and Francisco Silva with Osasuna. It's not just about big clubs or big names. It's on your day, you prepare well, and you prepare to take on the best and beat them at their game.
Sandeep, to look at it in another way, the big clubs were also, there was a lot of Spanish glory. They'd won the Champions League, they'd won the UEFA Cup. Maybe the players of these big clubs were involved for too long in very high profile domestic competitions. They didn't recover enough. That becomes a bit of a paradox also. And Chile, to get another lesson of history, that 64 years ago, Spain beat Chile in Brazil, where the last World Cup was held. So, I mean, none of the players would maybe even remember that. They have exorcised that defeat also. Chile has never beaten Spain in a World Cup, and they've done it now and done it in grand style. I mean, Chile certainly has sent a message that they are no pushovers.
And not only that, Spain were Chile's colonial masters earlier in the 15th, 16th century. They ruled them for 270 odd years. So in a sense, it's a grand day for Chilean football. Incidentally, today, both Novi and Karim, 19th June, is the foundation day of the Chilean Football Federation. So in a way, you can expect massive celebrations on the birthday of this fantastic new team, the La Roja, who've actually gotten the better of La Furia Roja. But to close it quickly, both Karim and Novi, Karim, to you first, a fantastic generation. Once again, a golden generation of players are going away. Xavi, he's headed somewhere maybe to Qatar to play in an unheralded club. You have David Villa, who was on loan to New York. Xavi Alonso looking, virtually on his last legs, at least in his football career. It would be a great loss to Spanish football, obviously, but they have a great reserve bench to replace these guys in time. But looking forward to the next international big tournament which they play, obviously Spain will not be the same superpower as they were coming into this tournament, World Cup.
Depend. For me, I still believe they have a backup. They have a lot of good players that can come and again make a good team. But the question is whether Del Bosque will continue, because he still have 2 years contract. Whether he will continue till the next.
I trust you, Karim, to bring this up. What would you have done had you been in Del Bosque's place?
It's for me, I think it's maybe time for a change, the whole thing.
It's time for change. What
he'll be too humiliated. I think he'll resign. I mean, the Indian Soccer League could maybe take some positives from this. You could get Iker Casillas, Xavi, and a couple of Spanish players.
Why not Karim's team here? Pune FC. Pune FC can actually look at Xavi and Casillas. Big draws, and on loan you can actually loan them out to the ISL.
ISL, yes. You could have some glorious World Cup winners playing on Indian soil.
Well, that would be interesting to see, but that in itself tells you the entire story about Spain. And there's been a lot of activity on Twitter as far as the conversation here on CNN IBN is concerned. Abhi 541988 saying, who would have imagined Spain going down to Chile 0-2 and Netherlands 1-5, but it has just happened. This is what the World Cup is all about. The next one coming in from Rakesh saying, sheer bad luck, fatigue, confidence less than before, same old tactics made Espanyol lose the game in this World Cup. Well, I'm sure Karim will agree with that. The Arabian Gazette, interesting Twitter ID. Tonight, Chile. So you mean Chile was Spainful. The Spain versus Chile, the World Cup. And the final one, which came in from Mohit K. Sai saying, MSD, he's referring to the Indian cricket captain. Mahendra Singh Dhoni can do a better job than Iker Casillas, Spain versus Chile. Well, you can understand the sentiments of those Spanish supporters who were watching up this match. And Dr. Vishal Bhatti is the tweet of the day saying, Spain, you can have all the possession, but it's goals that win matches. Tiki-taka was good, but football has evolved. So let's move on. Well, that's how you can join in the conversation. Remember, you can tweet us here at IBN Live, and you can use the hashtag, more importantly, World Cup. Yes, remember, tweet at IBN Live using the hashtag World Cup. You can leave all your questions for Karim Ben Sharifa and Novi Kapadia, and they will be taking a question and answering you guys. Well, it's time for a break here on the show. When we come back, we talk about the other big team which has actually made it to the knockout round, Team Holland. Welcome back to the beautiful game. Now, the Netherlands have one foot in the knockout phases of the FIFA World Cup, but not after a heroic performance from Australia, who went down 2-3. The Dutch started unusually deep in the match they were overwhelming favourites for. For the first 15 minutes, they struggled against Australia's far superior physicality. But in the 20th minute, a superb solo run by Arjen Robben saw them take the lead. Robben running at the defence from the halfway line and coolly slotting it past keeper Matt Ryan. But within seconds of the restart, Tim Cahill scored the goal of the tournament, a stinging first-time volley to draw level. 1-1 at half-time, and skipper Mile Jedinak then put the Aussies ahead with a calm penalty. Robin van Persie picked up a second consecutive yellow card, but made amends by firing home the equaliser. The game was end-to-end stuff, and then Memphis Depay hitting one from long range to make it 3-2 to the Dutch.
The game was very good. The first half was tricky. The second half, yeah, they came in the game and they won. And it was very nice to see.
I thought they came back in the last game against Chile well, and today, I mean, that goal from Cahill, it's probably the goal of the tournament so far. Yeah, I think the Australians surprised a lot of people at this World Cup.
All right, so Holland are carving out a 3-2 win over Australia. They are also through to the knockout stage. Karim, break us down the game for us. Australia very physical, very fast. The fact of the matter is Holland playing like always they do. They're brilliant attack going forward, but big problems for them in the defense. Why don't you show it?
Well, we did explain yesterday that the fact they started with the same way they played Spain against an Australian team, which is also very physically fit, and they was motivated to come back and to save their tournament. We've seen many times the Dutch team defending very deep in their own half, which is not the way to play against a team like Australia. I think Holland did have enough immunity, did have enough power to take the game to the Australian, but by doing this, it gives only the confidence to the Australian team playing on duels, playing long balls. When you have Sneijder and Robben, this is not the strength of the Dutch team. But later on, when they switch it to rather they switch it to rather an attacking system, which using especially Van Persie, Robben, and also Sneijder getting from here into good positions. They had good spell and they saved the game. In fact,
they saved the game. But Novi, Wesley Sneijder, where was he? He's not yet appeared in the World Cup scene this time. 2 matches literally gone under the scanner. He's nowhere to be seen.
No, I think he picked up in the second half. I mean, once Memphis Depay, who was really one of the revelations for the Dutch in the second half, reminded me a bit of Mark Overmars, the blistering pace, the way I remember that match, Brazil versus Netherlands, the quarterfinal, arguably one of the best matches of the 1994 World Cup, where Mark Overmars and Bergkamp tore apart Brazil and equalized 2-2. So Memphis Depay, once Snyder, once he came on, it enabled Snyder to exchange the wall passes, set up the through passes, which he is very good at.
Right.
And the Dutch looked a different team. So unlike Spain, the young talent is coming up in Netherlands,
Right.
and Louis van Gaal can feel quite a happy coach.
Obviously, I wonder how many of them he might actually try to take along to Manchester United. But Karim, you've seen both Holland, you've also seen Chile. Holland will be playing without Van Persie in the game against Chile. Yes, both of them are through to the next round, but how do you see that game building up?
Well, it depends. They will be looking definitely at the next round, which team they will be facing. You know, the Brazil group, I'm sure both of them would want to finish in a higher position.
Right.
Chile, definitely they have the motivation now because they are the outsider, they are the underdogs, and I think they will give a lot of problem to the Dutch team.
Who would want to play Brazil more? The Dutch or Chile?
No, the thing is, I feel now with Brazil are odds-on favourites after Croatia's hammering of Cameroon.
Right.
Brazil are odds-on favourites to win that group. So, I mean, Dutch versus Chile has suddenly opened up a whole new Pandora's box of who wants to avoid Brazil.
Who wants to avoid Brazil?
In my opinion, both of them would want to avoid Brazil. You know, the organizing team, the crowd,
support.
the pressure, you know. So I think both of them would want to avoid Brazil on the next stage.
How things change remarkably, because after Brazil's first game, we were all having fun at the fact that maybe most of the other teams would be wanting to take on Brazil, but right now it's changed. But final word to you, Karim, on this Dutch game. Any specific weakness which you have spotted other than their defense, which is not really, again, the best of their organizations?
Well, I think up front they are very strong. The problem that sometimes is happening with the Dutch team is more their side backs who are not as overlapping and as attacking as they should be. This is mainly because they also prepared on a 3-5-2, which basically you don't need. It's not like the 4-4-2 system. That's the only weakness, but they're still a very strong team.
Yes, it'll be interesting to actually see how the likes of Marcelo and Dani Alves take on the likes of Arjen Robben and Wesley Sneijder, and of course the other members of the Dutch team. Well, that brings us to the group standings. Let's quickly take you through Group B as to how it is placed at this point of time after the games last night. Holland and Chile obviously through are clear, and they have to decide amongst themselves when they face each other who is going to top the group. Australia, unfortunately, giving off their best in this game against the Dutch, but failing to make the cut. And what disappoints a lot of people will be something which a lot of people will not forget in a hurry is Spain, yet to open their account, scoring a single goal, that too of a penalty, not a field goal, and conceding 7 goals. Who would have thought that Spain would concede in this particular tournament itself more goals than the last 2 or 3 international titles in which they have won? Now, moving on, in the last Group A match last night, Croatia kept their round of 16 hopes alive with a 4-0 hammering of Cameroon in Manaus. Ivica Olic put the Croats ahead after just 11 minutes with a left-footed shot from the center of the box, and things got worse for the indomitable Lions when Alexander Song was sent off for a off-the-ball foul just before half-time. Against the 10 men of Cameroon, Croatia ran right in the second half, Ivan Perisic making it 2-0 in the 48th minute before Bayern Munich forward Mario Mandzukic scored twice in 12 minutes to give Croatia their first win of the 2014 World Cup, and knocking out their African opponents in the process, which meant that Cameroon are literally out of this tournament. Not a pretty sight to see. Let's take you quickly through the standings of this group. Yes, this is Group A, and as we see, Brazil obviously much more comfortably placed, as Novi said right now. Brazil and Mexico on 4 points each. What is interesting though is Croatia has now come up with 3 points. They also have a game to spare. So Brazil obviously in a much more advantageous position because they take on Cameroon, while Mexico versus Croatia, who knows in this tournament of surprises what might actually happen next. Well, it's time for a short break on the show. When we come back, it's Suarez versus his Liverpool teammates Gerrard and company as England take on Uruguay tonight. Welcome back. Now, the World Cup will witness another do-or-die battle literally tonight as England and Uruguay square off at Sao Paulo in their second Group D game, both needing a positive result to keep their chances of staying alive in this tournament. Now, after suffering a 2-1 defeat in their cup opener at the hands of a masterful Italy, England will be keen to put their best foot forward, and indications are that Wayne Rooney could be returning to his number 10 central role, unlike the left position he played in that game. But skipper Steven Gerrard knows that he will have to put his club friendship aside and keep a close eye on Anfield colleague Luis Suarez, who's expected to return for this game. Having been outplayed by Costa Rica 3-1, the Uruguayans cannot afford any more slip-ups, having already lost the services of skipper Diogo Lugano to a knee injury. Karim, indications because the English media are reporting that Hodgson has been doing some practice drills with Rooney in this more established central role. Do you actually see Hodgson allowing Rooney to play in that central role where he's most comfortable and not on the left where he looked distinctly out of place?
Well, I'm sure in this kind of situation, especially we knew that Rooney didn't perform at his best in the last game. There will be, after the last game, there was definitely discussions between the coach and Rooney and his player, and sometimes discussion depend what the coach wants, what Roy Hodgson wants. Then the talk between them will be, or if he gonna drop him, then he will start preparing him that he will not play the next game. But if he still believe on him and he still want to get the best out of him, they will have a discussion, and most probably Rooney also express his desire to, he's not comfortable on left side, and then the coach will start preparing on training to give him a chance where he can get the best out of him. So the possibility is there, depend on their internal discussions.
But on the other hand, as Karim rightly explains, yes, there will be a discussion. I believe already discussions have happened, but if that change happens, then what happens to the likes of Raheem Sterling?
No, he'll definitely use Raheem Sterling on an aging Uruguayan defence. I mean, Raheem Sterling could be the most potent weapon. But Roy Hodgson really had not much choice. It was either bench Rooney or keep the most high-profile player in England in the squad. Right. So in this case, he's probably gone for caution. And after discussion, as Karim has added, that coach and player have worked out a formula. Now it's to be seen if the formula ticks. But again, this match is also going to be a graveyard for one great footballing nation.
You're right to talk about Sterling because he had a Sterling performance on that position. But in my opinion, Sterling is a young player, and he just want to be on that first 11. Wherever Hodgson put him, even if you put him right back, I think he will give his best and play well. So in any position, I think Sterling will be will have a good performance because now he have the confidence.
And how difficult will it be? Yeah, obviously Luis Suarez has not been completely fit, but he's expected to make his return. In the case he does, it'll be difficult for his Liverpool teammate Gerrard. Yes, club friendships do not work at the national level. This is the World Cup, and they have seen him play with such devastating effect at Anfield. But if he does make his return, that will possibly worry the England defence. Obviously, the likes of Leighton Baines.
Of course, I mean, if I am in the position of England, they will definitely have to prepare, have a special plan for Suarez because he's the main strength, and he's maybe at this point of time the only strength of this Uruguay team based on what we had seen from their performance in the first game.
Right.
So definitely they will have to plan for that because Suarez is in top form. He's a dangerous striker. He can turn the game on his own, and surely the players of Liverpool will be even giving tips to the coach so they can prepare in a proper way to how to tackle him.
Novi Kapadia, as we quickly wrap it up, yes, there are a lot of people on Twitter who are actually joking about the fact that it's surprising to see Spain exit the World Cup even before England, because this is a question which obviously comes up whenever they get to play a World Cup. What are your hopes of England? How much of headway do they make in this tournament? You've seen their first game. Not enough, but not good enough too.
One, the climate favors them. It's an aging Uruguayan defense. We don't know how fit Suarez is. We saw the Diego Costa template. You could have had a great club season, but if you're not fully fit, you can't reproduce that form. Suarez is desperate. He is going to play, but how fit he will be, that is the question. And Raheem Sterling and some of the other youngsters running at this aging Uruguayan defense. If Raheem Sterling does a Joel Campbell, England will win comfortably.
Wow, that's a good illustration of how England's hopes are actually depending on, as Karim says, yet another sterling performance. Well, on that note, it's time for us to take a break because we're going to discuss our breakfast plans here with Novi and Karim. But while we do that, we'll come back and tell you about how was the first week in the World Cup. So stay right there. Welcome back to the beautiful game. Just enough time to take you through the other two matches which are up on the show tonight. Yes, other than the England-Uruguay game, the first game tonight at 9:30 India time, Colombia versus Ivory Coast, a battle of totally two different footballing styles. And finally, at 3:30 in the morning, Japan versus Greece. This is one game which already Novi Kapadia has said that he will not be staying awake to watch. Novi, yes, we discussed our breakfast plans. Yes, you've promised us puri sabzi and a little bit of gajar ka halwa also for Karim. You've just said this. Don't go back on that. But before we do that, that'll be after the show. Right now, we still have a little bit of time to talk about 7 days done, the first week done in the World Cup. How has it been for you so far?
Exhilarating football, lots of attacking football. I think that has been very welcome. There have been only 2 goalless draws, lots of surprises, and for me the nicest thing is the emergence of lots of young stars. Joel Campbell, Raheem Sterling, they've been the revelation, and yesterday Louis van Gaal lived up to his reputation of developing young players, like Karim has done in Indian football. Before him, Amal Datta used to do it. Memphis Depay, for me, would be a superstar. The way he, Patrick Kluivert, Edgar Davids came in the 1995 Ajax team. Daley Blind, Memphis Depay. So Louis van Gaal's team seems to have the perfect blend of veterans and very exciting youngsters.
Well, you and your friend, you're doing Karim, you're doing tiki-taka here. Spain are already out, but you already started doing tiki-taka here. But Karim, for you, what has been the high point of this World Cup? Is it an individual performance, or is it a new playing style, a new formation, a new team? What is it?
I think it's became it is again evident that that individuals cannot win you games, and especially cannot win you consistently. It was about the team in this first games. Also the emergence of a 3-5-2 system. All the teams, or most of the teams that use that, Mexico, Costa Rica, Holland, got the desired results, which this is a system that we thought very defensive, and if we compare to last World Cup, only Italy used it against Spain. But now it's more about different systems. The 4-2-3-1, it seems that most of the coaches start preparing very well how to play against it. So, and I'm sure we will see more developments while the tournament will go.
Novi, disappointed with the refereeing standard perhaps?
Well, some of them, to give them credit, I think Ravshan Irmatov had an absolutely brilliant game. Especially some of the referees from the less heralded countries, the Mexican referee, and the way Irmatov applied that advantage rule, which enables Switzerland to get the winning goal, was a telling example that you don't always go by the rule book. Common sense is the best rule. And so there have been some good performances, but there have been some dodgy performances also. So let's say the refereeing performance is 50-50.
Final word to you, Karim, exactly 30 seconds. For you, the highlight of this World Cup till now. One standout performance.
Just while Novi was talking, comes to me in my mind one thing that maybe I should put it as one of the red card of Pepe that killed his team, and the red card of Song yesterday that killed his team. So as much as we talk about the brilliance of individuals and the way they perform, these kind of players, it's so pity that you prepare for a World Cup for years and you come and you take a stupid red card which make your team out of the tournament.
You're surely not going to get Pepe when he retires in the ISL? No way, no way. All right, on that note, gentlemen, Novi Kapadia, Karim Ben-Sharifa, thank you very much for joining us here on this show this morning as we head for breakfast with Novi. Yet it is his special invitation because he's going to celebrate the new rising of the red, or rather the new red rising that's of Chile. We give you a final look at what was once the golden generation of Spain, a fabulous array of players who have possibly played their last World Cup game. Take it away. Goodbye.